Every year, my family and I journey from our small village to Jerusalem for the Passover. Celebrating this time in the Holy City with thousands of pilgrims has always been the highlight of our year. Our two boys, Aaron and Benjamin, always reminisce for weeks afterwards about our adventures there, the new foods, different people speaking different languages, the markets filled with exotic animals and unique wares. The beginning of our experience this last year was unique indeed. Chatter amongst us travelers on the way had included questions surrounding Jesus of Nazareth. Rumors had it he too was also on his way to Jerusalem. By no small amount of good luck, our village group arrived at the same time Jesus did. Lucky for us, or we would not have found a place to see him at the side of the road. Crowds quickly swarmed, waving palm branches and crying out in praise. This Jesus, who just days before on his donkey rode into Jerusalem with a quiet dignity that soon would become a bigger part of our Passover than any of us had expected. On Passover Friday, while my family lingered at the market, I found myself following the stream of people heading toward the judgment seat. Anticipation was brimming to soon know what prisoner Pilate would set free on our behalf. As we entered the larger square, there he was again, Jesus. But wait, he was bound, bloodied, and silent. My heart sank. Could that really be Jesus? I was at that time sure God would never send us a weak, passive, and tattered Messiah. Pilate rose and addressed the crowd, asking us who should be set free, and the name Barabbas began to echo around us. Every declaration of Jesus' innocence was matched by the crowd's "Crucify him!" What a turning of tables from just days before, and from so many of us who had so fervently waved our palms and sang his praises. Further encouraged by the priests, obvious impatience over Pilate's reluctance began building up. The mood, it was getting ugly. I was glad Rebecca and the boys weren't here. Even from a distance, I could tell the circumstances were bringing the governor great distress. He appeared to be an animal caught in a trap, desperate for release. Then, Pilate did a strange thing. He brought out a basin filled with water and sat down. He moved his hand in and out of the water with exaggerated motions as the entire crowd watched. All became quiet. His voice then stabbed into the silence. "See for yourself that I declare myself clean before you and the gods. I wash myself from any consequences related to this innocent man being put to death. I take no responsibility for this case, but rather pass off any of its guilt to you." You would think all this that would have woken us up to what we were doing, but not so. The throngs of Jewish Passover celebrants and I were now all too eager to accept the mantle of responsibility. His blood then be on us and our children. If our verdict is wrong, let us and those generations after us suffer the same sentence. But we were certainly not wrong. Jesus is not the Messiah. He is guilty of blasphemy and treason. When the crowd began to disperse, I walked slowly back to our inn and quietly told Rebecca what had happened. Having heard his preaching in our village and seen Jesus heal a blind man, she looked disappointed, her eyes becoming glassy with unshed tears. But that wasn't the end of the story for me or for our family. By chance, several weeks after we had returned home, I met some men who called themselves friends and disciples of the rabbi. They told me about the corrupt priests, the mishandling of justice at Jesus' trial, and everything else that had followed Pilate's washing. With wide smiles and steady eyes, they then told me of Jesus' resurrection. I felt goosebumps from head to toe. My heart softened as I saw the irony of our words spoken just days before. Yes, our cry of blood of Jesus to be upon us and our children pointed in a way we did not realize to the Lamb's blood spread upon our doorposts every Passover. Just what might Jesus' blood have to do with our Passover customs and our need for atonement? In these new wonderings, I repented from my earlier Passover blanket skepticism. I joined my wife and boys in shedding tears for the death of the innocent Nazarene, whose death was somehow meant for us. Somehow, we, too, We were Barabbas. What my family and I could not see in Jerusalem has now become so clear. Nothing that happened on that Black Friday in the Pilate Plaza was an accident. Not even our ignorant and shameful howling for the Nazarene's blood.